First Contact's Deception. High Commander Krex stood at the observation deck of the Nexian Empire's flagship Eternal Victory, his 4 eyes fixed on the holographic display of the Sol system. The blue-green planet third from the sun had captured his complete attention. Earth, supposedly a primitive world that had barely mastered basic spaceflight. His mandibles clicked in anticipation as he reviewed the intelligence reports one final time. Another primitive species ripe for integration into the Empire, he murmured, running a clawed hand over his ceremonial armor. The Nexian Empire had integrated 17 civilizations in the past cycle alone. Integration, of course, was a polite term for conquest. In the command center 40 decks below, Admiral Helena Santos of Earth's Hidden Fleet watched the Nexian vessels through quantum-linked sensors that the aliens couldn't detect. She sat in her concealed command chair aboard the ESS Nightshade, hidden in the dark side of Luna along with Earth's true fleet. Her dark eyes reflected the holographic display, showing the positions of over 300 Nexian warships. They're right where we expected them to be, her XO, Commander Chen, noted quietly. Running the same standard reconnaissance pattern they used at Proxima Centauri. Helena nodded, allowing herself a small smile. The Nexians had no idea that humanity had been studying them for the past 30 years. Every conquest, every integration had been carefully observed and analyzed. Earth had watched silently as the Nexians expanded their empire, learning their tactics, their technologies, and most importantly, their weaknesses. Status of the quantum web? Helena asked, though she already knew the answer. She'd helped design the defensive network that now spanned the entire solar system. All nodes are operational and undetected. Admiral, Chen replied. The decoy satellites and primitive defense systems are in position. As far as they can tell, we're exactly what they expect. A young species barely capable of reaching our own moon. On the Eternal Victory, Krex reviewed the final invasion plans with his war council. The holographic representations of his top commanders flickered around the strategic table. The humans have minimal orbital defenses, General Vax reported, his throat sacs pulsing with confidence. A few hundred satellites, most of them civilian communication devices. Their most advanced weapons appear to be chemical rockets with nuclear warheads. Their space force consists of a few dozen primitive shuttles and orbital stations. Exactly as our long-range scans indicated, Krex confirmed. This will be a standard integration. Minimal resistance expected. We'll demonstrate our overwhelming force, demand surrender, and begin the integration process. The humans' technology level suggests they'll be useful laborers in our industrial sectors. In the darkness of lunar orbit, Helena received the transmission she'd been waiting for. The quantum entanglement communicator, technology the Nexians believed impossible, displayed a message from Earth's Defense Council. Operation Silent Guardian is authorized. Proceed at your discretion. She took a deep breath, remembering the decades of preparation that had led to this moment. After first detecting the Nexian Empire's expansion 30 years ago, humanity had made a crucial decision. Rather than announcing their presence to the galaxy, they had chosen to watch and wait. Every public space launch had been matched by 10 secret ones. For every visible satellite, 100 quantum-cloaked platforms had been deployed. Earth had built up its true technological capabilities in absolute secrecy, creating weapons and defenses that operated on principles the Nexians couldn't even detect, let alone understand. They're beginning their approach, Chen reported. Standard Nexian invasion formation, just like the simulations. Helena nodded, watching as the Nexian fleet moved exactly as predicted. Their confidence in their technological superiority had made them predictable. They never considered that a primitive species might be able to hide its true capabilities. Send the prepared transmission to all Earth media outlets, Helena ordered. It's time to let our own people know the truth about humanity's place in the galaxy. Across Earth, billions of humans were about to learn that their civilization wasn't as isolated or primitive as they'd been led to believe. The carefully maintained illusion of Earth's technological level was about to be shattered. not just for the Nexians, but for humanity itself. On the Eternal Victory, Krex prepared to issue the standard demands for surrender. He had no doubt they would be meeting with Earth's leaders within a planetary rotation to discuss the terms of their integration into the Empire. He had no way of knowing that humanity had spent decades preparing for this exact moment. No way to realize that his mighty fleet was already trapped in humanity's web. The next few hours would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever and demonstrate why humanity had chosen patience and preparation over pride and posturing. The real question wasn't whether Earth would survive the Nexian invasion. The question was whether the Nexian Empire would survive its first encounter with humanity's true capabilities. The web we weave. Deep within the ESS Nightshade, Dr. Maya Patel stood before a holographic representation of the quantum web, her life's work spread out before her in streams of light. Each point of light represented a node in the vast defensive network humanity had woven throughout the solar system. Thousands of quantum-linked platforms, each capable of things the Nexians had dismissed as impossible. The web is registering unusual readings from the Nexian fleet, she reported to Admiral Santos. They're scanning us with something new. Something we haven't seen before. On the bridge of the Eternal Victory, High Commander Krex studied the results of the latest sensor sweep with growing unease. Something wasn't right. The data was too perfect, too precisely what they expected to find. In 3 centuries of expansion, the Empire had never encountered a species that fit their predictions so completely. Run the temporal scans again, he ordered. Full spectrum this time. Sir, his science officer questioned. The energy cost for a full-spectrum temporal scan. Do it, Krex interrupted. The Empire hadn't become the dominant force in the galaxy by ignoring instincts, and every instinct he possessed was screaming that they were missing something crucial. Back on the Nightshade, Maya's hands danced through the holographic display. They're using temporal scanning technology, more advanced than what we observed in their previous conquests. Helena leaned forward in her command chair. This was unexpected, a variable they hadn't planned for. Can they detect the web? Maya shook her head, a slight smile playing across her features. No. The quantum state of the nodes exists outside normal temporal flow. They're looking for distortions in spacetime, but our technology doesn't distort spacetime. It bypasses it entirely. The development of quantum bypass technology had been humanity's greatest breakthrough. While other species focused on bending or breaking the laws of physics, humanity had found ways to step outside them entirely. The quantum web didn't need to overpower the Nexian shields. It simply existed in a state where those shields were irrelevant. On the Eternal Victory, the results of the temporal scan were causing confusion among the science team. Sir, the lead scientist reported to Krex, we're detecting temporal anomalies throughout the system, but they're wrong. They don't match any known pattern of technological development. Krex's secondary heart began beating faster. Wrong patterns meant unknown technology. Unknown technology meant unknown threats. Explain. The anomalies suggest a civilization far more advanced than Earth appears to be, but they're scattered and inconsistent. It's as if. The scientist paused, mandibles clicking in frustration, as if we're seeing shadows of something we can't actually detect. In the lunar shadow, Helena received reports from Earth's surface. The public announcement of humanity's true technological status was being met with surprisingly calm acceptance. Decades of subtle preparation through media, education, and cultural development had ready people for this moment. The Nexians are starting to suspect something, Commander Chen noted, watching the enemy fleet's movement patterns shift. They're adjusting their formation. Defensive rather than offensive positioning. Helena nodded. This was expected. The Nexians weren't fools. They had survived and thrived because they could recognize potential threats. But recognition would come too late. The web was already in place. Maya's voice came through the quantum link again. Admiral, I'm detecting power surges in their fleet. They're charging weapons. Right on schedule, Helena murmured. The Nexians were following their standard protocol. When in doubt, demonstrate overwhelming force. It was exactly what humanity had been counting on. Aboard the Eternal Victory, Krex made his decision. Launch a demonstration strike. Target their largest orbital platform. Show them our power. Energy beams lanced out from the Nexian vessels, streaking toward the International Space Station, humanity's most visible space presence. The beams passed straight through it. Impossible, Krex's weapons officer exclaimed. Direct hits registered, but no damage, no impact. As if it isn't really there, Krex finished. A hologram. They'd been shooting at a hologram, which meant all ships, full defensive protocols. He roared. We're not dealing with primitives. We're dealing with. Before he could finish, every false satellite, every decoy platform around Earth simultaneously vanished, revealing the true extent of humanity's defensive network. The quantum web became visible for the first time, points of light connecting into a vast, multidimensional lattice that encompassed the entire Nexian fleet. On the nightshade, Helena stood. Send the message. Throughout the Nexian fleet, displays activated unbidden. Admiral Helena Santos's image appeared on every screen. High Commander Krex, she said calmly, my name is Admiral Helena Santos of the Earth Defense Force. Your fleet has entered a restricted space and is currently surrounded by weapons systems you cannot detect, cannot defend against, and cannot escape. We've been watching your empire's expansion for decades, preparing for this moment. You have 30 seconds to power down your weapons and engines. If you complied, we will begin negotiations for peaceful contact between our civilizations. If you don't, she smiled slightly. Well, we've had 30 years to study exactly how your ships work. The choice is yours. The web pulsed with power, and for the first time in his long career, High Commander Krex felt true fear. They hadn't found a primitive civilization to conquer. They had walked into a trap centuries in the making. The dance of deception. Time seemed to freeze as High Commander Krex stared at the human admiral's face on his display. In 3 centuries of military service, he had never faced a situation like this. His fleet, the pride of the Nexian Empire, was completely encased in a web of technology he couldn't even begin to understand. Sir, his tactical officer's voice quavered, we're detecting energy signatures. Everywhere. The humans' defensive grid. It's not just around us, it's between us. Every ship in the fleet is individually surrounded. On the ESS Nightshade, Admiral Santos watched the Nexian fleet's reaction through the quantum sensors. She could almost feel their confusion, their fear, their desperate search for a way out. But the quantum web didn't just trap them physically. It existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. There was nowhere to run, no space to hide, no way to fight. They're powering up their temporal drives, Commander Chen reported, attempting to initiate an emergency temporal jump. Helena nodded. Dr. Patel, if you would. In the control center, Maya's fingers danced through the holographic interface, initiating quantum lock. Now, throughout the Nexian fleet, temporal drives whined to life, and then died immediately. The quantum lock space around their ships prevented any manipulation of time or space. They were trapped in normal space-time, their most advanced technology rendered useless. Impossible, Krex whispered, watching as system after system reported failure. Our temporal drives. Nothing can prevent a temporal jump. Nothing. High Commander, his science officer called out, voice tight with stress, I'm analyzing the energy patterns of their technology. Sir, they're not blocking our temporal drives. They're preventing the very concept of temporal displacement from existing in the space around our ships. A new transmission cut through their communications. This time it was Dr. Maya Patel who appeared on their screens. Your temporal drive technology is impressive, High Commander, she said, her voice carrying the calm confidence of someone who had long since surpassed the problems others were still trying to solve. But you're still trying to bend the rules of physics. We stopped playing by those rules decades ago. In the lunar shadow, Helena watched as the Nexian fleet attempted various defensive and offensive maneuvers. Each attempt was met with the same result: complete nullification. The quantum web didn't just stop their weapons, it prevented them from functioning at all. "Admiral," Chen said quietly, "we're detecting power buildups in their main reactors. They might be considering a self-destruct option." Helena finished. "Yes, we expected that too." She opened a channel to Maya's station. "Doctor, implement Phase 3. The quantum web shimmered, its light changing from white to a deep, pulsing blue. Suddenly, every piece of technology in the Nexian fleet more advanced than basic life support simply stopped existing. On the Eternal Victory, Krex watched in horror as his mighty warship was reduced to little more than a pressurized habitat. No weapons, no drives, no advanced sensors, even his ceremonial armor's enhanced features had vanished. What did they do to us?" his first officer asked, staring at dead displays and empty weapon mounts. Another transmission, and Admiral Santos was back on their emergency backup screens. "We call it selective quantum dissolution," she explained. "Your technology exists in a quantum state we can observe, understand, and edit. We've temporarily removed anything that could be used as a weapon. Don't worry. We can restore it all once we've reached an understanding." Krex felt something he hadn't experienced since he was a juvenile: humility. "You could have done this at any time," he realized aloud. "You could have simply destroyed us all immediately." "Yes," Helena agreed, "but that's not who we are. Humanity has had 30 years to prepare for this moment, High Commander. We've had 30 years to decide what kind of galactic civilization we want to be. We chose to be guardians, not conquerors." Throughout the solar system, hidden human ships began decloaking. Not the hundreds the Nexians might have expected, but thousands. An entire fleet of vessels incorporating technologies the Empire had never dreamed possible. "Your Empire has conquered 17 civilizations in the past cycle alone," Helena continued. "We know. We watched each conquest. We protected ourselves, yes, but we also learned. And now we're offering you a choice. Not surrender, partnership." She gestured, and a new hologram appeared. Plans for a new galactic order, one built on cooperation rather than conquest. "Your empire has brought stability to hundreds of worlds, High Commander. But at what cost? How many species have you forced into servitude? How many cultures have you erased? We're offering you a chance to be part of something greater. A chance to transform the Empire from conquerors to protectors." Krex stared at the plans, his tactical mind already seeing the possibilities. The humans weren't seeking to destroy the Empire. They were offering to help transform it, to take everything the Nexians had built and redirect it toward a noble purpose. "And if we refuse?" he asked, though he already suspected the answer. Helena's expression remained calm, but her eyes hardened slightly. "Then we'll be forced to demonstrate exactly why we chose to hide our true capabilities for so long. The quantum web doesn't just surround your fleet, High Commander. We have nodes in every system the Empire has conquered. Every single one." The implications hit Krex like a physical blow. The humans could shut down the entire Empire's technology with a single command. They had already won, not just this battle, but the entire war, before it even began. Shattered illusions. High Commander Krex walked the corridors of the ESS Nightshade, escorted by Commander Chen. The human vessel defied everything he thought he knew about spacecraft design. There were no visible engines, no power conduits, no structural supports, yet he could feel the ship's presence around him like a living thing. "Your technology," he said quietly to Chen. "It's not just more advanced than ours, it's fundamentally different." Chen nodded. "We took a different path. While the Empire focused on mastering known physics, pushing the boundaries of what was possible, we questioned the boundaries themselves. They entered a vast chamber that seemed to exist in more dimensions than Krex could perceive. Dr. Maya Patel stood at its center, surrounded by holographic displays that showed the quantum web status throughout known space. "This is our quantum command center," Maya explained. "From here, we can monitor and influence quantum states throughout the galaxy. Distance is irrelevant when you step outside conventional spacetime." On one display, Krex could see his fleet, still encased in the web's protective field. His ships looked different now, stripped of their advanced technology. Vulnerable, like hatchlings fresh from the nest. "Why show me this?" he asked. "Why reveal your secrets?" Admiral Santos entered the chamber, her uniform seemingly absorbing and reflecting light in impossible ways. "Because, High Commander, we need you to understand. Not just our capabilities, but our intentions." She gestured, and the chamber filled with images. Thousands of worlds, millions of species. "We've been watching, learning, understanding. We've seen the Empire's methods. Efficient, yes. Effective, certainly. But also destructive. You strip conquered worlds of their resources, their culture, their identity." "We bring order," Krex protested, but his voice lacked conviction. "Unity through strength. Unity through fear," Helena corrected gently. "But fear only works until someone stronger comes along. We're offering you a chance to be part of something greater. A true federation of worlds, where strength comes from cooperation, not conquest." Maya manipulated the displays, showing simulations of possible futures. In one, the Empire continued its path of conquest until it eventually collapsed under its own weight. In another, it transformed into something new, a force for protection and progress in the galaxy. "Your empire has the infrastructure, the organization, the experience in managing multiple species and worlds," Helena continued. "We have the technology, the philosophy, and a different vision for the future. Together we could reshape the galaxy," Krex finished, finally understanding. "But why? Why not simply use your technology to force your will upon us, as we would have done?" Helena's expression softened, "Because that would make us no better than conquerors. Humanity spent 30 years hiding, watching, preparing, not just technologically, but philosophically. We asked ourselves the hard questions. What kind of galactic civilization do we want to be? What responsibilities come with advanced technology? How can we prevent conflict rather than simply win wars?" Commander Chen led them to another display, showing the 17 worlds the Empire had conquered in the past cycle. "We could free these worlds with a single command, shut down your technology empire-wide, reduce you to a pre-industrial state. But what would that accomplish? More chaos, more suffering, more worlds struggling alone in a dangerous galaxy. Instead," Maya added, "we're offering partnership, your experience combined with our technology, your organization with our innovation, your strength with our wisdom." Krex watched as the display showed a new possibility. The Empire's worlds transformed into thriving centers of cooperation and progress. "The Council will never agree," he said, but there was question in his voice. "The Council," Helena said with a slight smile, "is about to receive some very interesting data about their Empire's true technological position, and about certain quantum nodes we've placed in their private chambers." Krex's secondary heart skipped a beat. "You've been watching the Council too." "We've been watching everyone," Chen confirmed. "For 30 years, we've prepared for every possibility. The Council can either adapt to the new reality, or find themselves unable to access any technology more advanced than a simple communicator," Maya finished. "Their choice." Krex stared at the displays, at the future they offered. "You're not just offering to spare us," he realized. "You're offering to help us become something better." Helena nodded. "The galaxy is vast, High Commander, and largely unknown. There are threats out there that neither of us could face alone. Together, though." "Together," Krex said thoughtfully, his tactical mind already seeing the possibilities. "An empire of protection rather than conquest." Technology beyond his imagining combined with centuries of organizational experience. a force for stability and progress rather than subjugation. He turned to Helena. I will speak to the council. But first, show me more. Show me everything. If I'm to help transform an empire, I need to understand exactly what we're transforming it into. Helena smiled. That, High Commander, is exactly the response we were hoping for. As they began their detailed discussions, neither human nor Nexian noticed the subtle shifts in the quantum field around them, shifts that suggested they were being observed by something far older, far more advanced, and very, very interested in this new development in galactic politics. A new dawn. 1 year after the confrontation at Earth, the Grand Chamber of the newly formed Galactic Cooperative hummed with activity. Representatives from hundreds of worlds, former conquests of the Nexian Empire and independent civilizations alike, gathered in the massive quantum-linked assembly hall that existed simultaneously on every member world. Admiral Helena Santos, now serving as Earth's primary representative, stood at the central podium. Beside her, High Commander, now Ambassador, Krex represented the transformed Nexian Empire. The changes in him over the past year mirrored those of his civilization. The military hardness replaced by diplomatic wisdom, the instinct to dominate transformed into a desire to protect. The integration of quantum technology throughout former Imperial space has proceeded ahead of schedule, Helena announced to the assembled delegates. Thanks to the Nexians' organizational expertise, what could have taken decades has been accomplished in months. Krex stepped forward. And thanks to human innovation, worlds that once feared our approach now welcome our assistance. The defensive networks now protecting every member world are proof that strength can serve protection rather than conquest. The chamber's displays showed the extent of the changes. The quantum web had evolved from a weapon into an infrastructure, linking worlds and species in ways previously unimaginable. Trade, cultural exchange, and scientific collaboration flowed freely through quantum channels that transcended normal spacetime. In her laboratory aboard the ESS Nightshade, Dr. Maya Patel monitored the quantum fields with growing excitement. The merger of human theoretical innovation with Nexian practical experience had accelerated technological development beyond even her optimistic predictions. But something else caught her attention. Those same subtle quantum disturbances they'd first noticed a year ago, growing stronger and more purposeful. Admiral, she called through the quantum link during a break in the assembly. I think it's time to discuss what we've been detecting. Helena excused herself from the chamber, joining Maya through quantum projection. They're becoming more active. Yes, Maya confirmed, showing the readings. Whatever has been watching us, whatever exists so far beyond our level of advancement that even our quantum technology barely detects them, they're taking a more active interest. The ancient observers, Krex added, joining them through his own quantum projection. His time working with humans had taught him to trust their instincts. My people have legends, dating back to the Empire's founding, of beings that watched from beyond normal space. We dismissed them as myths. Your legends, Helena said thoughtfully, combined with our quantum detection capabilities. This is why unity was so important, not just between humans and Nexians, but among all species. The displays showed new data, quantum disturbances appearing throughout the galaxy, always just at the edge of detection. They're testing us, Maya realized, watching how we handle our advancement, how we treat other species, how we manage power. A test we might have failed, had Earth simply conquered the Empire, Krex noted, or had the Empire successfully conquered Earth. Helena nodded. Perhaps that's why they've remained hidden, waiting for species to prove themselves worthy of contact. Not through technological advancement alone, but through wisdom in using that technology. In the assembly chamber, representatives continued their discussions, unaware of the greater implications of their cooperation. Every decision to help rather than dominate, to lift up rather than subjugate, was being observed and evaluated. Should we tell them? Krex asked, watching the delegates. Not yet, Helena decided. Let this new cooperation develop naturally. Let species learn to work together because it's right, not because they're being washed. When the time comes, when we're ready, I suspect our observers will make themselves known. Maya's displays showed new quantum signatures, patterns suggesting possibilities far beyond even their advanced understanding. Whatever's out there, she said quietly, they're not just watching anymore. They're waiting, preparing. Then we'll be ready, Helena assured her, not as individual species, not as separate civilizations, but as a united galaxy. The silent guardians will guard each other, protect each other, advance together. Krex's mandibles clicked in what had become his version of a smile. From conquerors to guardians to what comes next, what lies beyond even quantum technology. That, Helena said, watching the quantum disturbances with a mixture of anticipation and resolve, is what we're going to find out. Together. In the vast quantum fields that permeated the galaxy, ancient intelligences continued their observation. The experiment was proceeding as designed. Species learning to overcome their instincts for conquest, learning to cooperate, preparing themselves for what was to come. Soon, very soon, it would be time for the next phase. But for now, in the assembly chamber and across thousands of worlds, civilization continued its slow, steady advance toward something greater. The former Nexian Empire, once a force of conquest, had become part of a network of protection and progress. Humanity, having proven that patience and wisdom were as important as technological advancement, had helped forge a new path for galactic civilization. The silent guardians had done their duty, not through force, but through foresight, not through conquest, but through cooperation. As the quantum fields rippled with ancient power, as new possibilities emerged, as species that once would have destroyed each other now worked together, a new age was dawning. And somewhere in the depths of space-time, the ancient observers prepared to welcome their newest potential members into a reality far grander than anyone had imagined.